This is working. Hello, hello, hello out there. Can anybody hear me? We had to restart the stream. We had to restart the stream. Hello, hello. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I had some technical issues. Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear Frankie? PC, okay. PC is here. All right. You up? Yeah, what I was doing earlier was trying to go live from OBS, and apparently OBS has been great for recording um, videos, and I got the ticker and all that. But um, I thought it'd be as easy to do the live stream from there. You're supposed to be able to do it, but it was giving me some errors. I started up, and all these errors popped up. I'm like, what the hell is this? And that just goes to show you should always test things out. I should have done like a Friday night testing. Joe Butte is here. WVU Javes. Good morning. Jed 41, Lickin' Chicken. The great Phil Adams is here. James Thompson is here. Howie's here. All right, glad you guys made it. Sorry for the technical issues. There's always something. So OBS has been working great for the videos. And so now I got to figure out how to live stream from there. That way we could have the ticker going live and all of this. So Matthias Simon is here. He's worried about the record. Um, and so now I had to go back into StreamYard and start this all up. So no bueno. But we'll get that sorted out. I mean, we got OBS working good for the recorded videos, and that's looking good. So now we just got to figure out how to live stream out of there. And so, these days you just got to watch a bunch of tutorials and figure it out and get this and figure this out. And you got this thing over here. Big Green is over here. He made it to the live stream. Good to see Big Green, longtime OG in the Jet content creator chat. And after all, this is Coffee with Frankie. So we got some coffee right here. And Matthias is not worried. Just fact, 0-8. Yeah, we're going to be 0-8, Matthias. So what? I mean, we're not going to be any good. We knew that. Joe Mike is here, says Frankie GM. James Thompson says Brady Cook the backup. Yep, he sure is. All right, so we got this thing working over here. Yeah, surprisingly, Tyrod is hurt. Yeah. So for the news, I guess we'll cover a little bit of the news. Tyrod is hurt, in case anybody doesn't know. Tyrod injury, knee injury, and so he was somewhat surprisingly listed as out after being limited in the week. But so he's out. Justin Fields starts. Brady Cook is the backup. That's the quarterback situation. Now the other roster moves that were made, excuse me, in case you missed it. The Jets have activated Quincy Williams from IR, so he'll be back on the field, number 56. But the Jets placed wide receiver Josh Reynolds and linebacker Cam Jones on IR, so they're out at least 4 games. But they did sign wide receiver Brandon Smith, B. Smitty, to the active roster. So now Brandon Smith is on the 53 man. We don't have to elevate him anymore from the P squad. So for all the Brandon Smith fans, including myself, we'll get to see Brandon Smith today. And we've elevated Brady Cook, obviously, to be the backup QB and defensive lineman Peyton Page. So we'll get to see Peyton Page today, and he should get a good number of uh, reps in there. So can he be something? Probably not, but you never know. And let's hope Brandon Smith does something and opens some eyes, because it'd be nice if he could be wide receiver 4 or 5 next year or something. If he gets a chance out there and he does well, that would be beautiful. So we got some things to look for. Obviously, the season's over. Wins and loss are not important at this point in time. It's just let's look at some of these players and see who could be part of the future and who not. Like Malachi Moore, AZ. So AZ Thomas will be starting today. Sauce is out. Ahmad is out. And so AZ Thomas is starting in his place. How's he going to look against these wide receivers? Now, the Bengals have two amazing wide receivers, of course, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And so, well, it'll be a good test for AZ Thomas and B. Stevie as well. We'll see if old Joe Flacco cuts us up. Joe Mike says, any truth to the rumor that the Jets signed a new 30-year lease to stay in the ghetto? Well, I got news for you. It'd probably be another 15 at least, Joe. So put your seatbelts on. Put your seatbelts on. Phil Adams, B. Smitty time. Absolutely. PC Salami. Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's unfortunate with the injuries with him because he's a decent backup, but he just can't stay healthy. I don't know what it is. Some guys are just like that. It's probably the end of the road for Tyrod. I don't know who would take a chance on him next year. If you have a backup quarterback, the least they could do is stay healthy. You know what I mean? What good is a backup quarterback? You stick him in there, he gets injured. I mean, what's the point? Joe Buda, Fields stinks. Probably low, I would say, Joe, but who knows what they're thinking? Probably only way Cook gets in there would be injury, I would think, but who knows, Joe? We'll have to watch and see. Todd is here. JoJo is here. The Jets scouts are attending their games. Yeah, that's what they do, JoJo. That's what they're paid to do. Yeah, Phil has the right idea here. We'll be evaluating Muji this week. I mean, the best thing about today is this game will happen, and then we'll probably lose, and then it'll be over. And then and we'll be 0-8, and we'll be going into the bye, and there won't be another game until the trade deadline. So that means Muji this week before November 4th, let's see what he does. And if he makes good moves and sets us up for the draft next year and does smart things, like a guy I was looking at, the Saints are reportedly looking, they're not going to trade. The reports are that they're not going to trade Chris Olave. But I wanted to look up Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed, a funny name, but I wanted to see how old he was. He's 27. So, and they're saying Rashid Shaheed may be on the block, and we need a wide receiver very badly, obviously, for the future. This is a guy you would trade for and then want to sign. He's 27. Now, this is the type of guy, he hasn't put up any kind of big numbers his whole career, but he's been good, solid. This is a guy, I mean, he was all pro one year. That's crazy. He was a first team all pro player in 2023, but then never made a Pro Bowl any other times. But he's been a solid player for them. That could be a guy we get and sign and make him wide receiver too, if they're looking to move him. So that's a type of thing where if Muji makes some moves where he adds some people, it should be smart ads. Like Jawan Briggs was a smart ad. Harrison Phillips was a smart ad. Rashid Shaheed, but then again, there's a lot of teams that probably would want a Rashid Shaheed. It's a hard name to say. A lot of teams would probably want him, so they could probably get a really good deal for him. So probably too rich for our blood. But that's a type of player that we could actually add, and then we'd have to sign them. So let's see what Muji does there. NYC Sport is here. Who is the best looking quarterback? Well, we'll find out by the end of the year. Top tier is probably Mendoza, Simpson, and Moore. It's probably the top tier at this point. Mark York, I feel a win from a stupid mistake from Cincinnati. All right. Let's see how your feelings work out, Mark York. Yeah, let's hope so, JoJo. I mean, we're going to need to stock the roster one way or the other. So if you can get a young player, like I was looking to see if Shaheed, if he was 33 or 32 or something, then obviously that doesn't make sense. But he's only 27, so that's a perfect guy to target. And then that means you get a known quantity. You don't have to take a chance in the draft that a guy develops. And hopefully, let's look at Arian Smith today. I mean, can Arian Smith do something? I mean, this guy, we overdrafted him for sure, I think, but um, I think we can, I think we could hopefully. I mean, can he be a wide receiver three? Then if you were to pick up a Shaheed or somebody like that, then you don't have such a desperate need at wide receiver, and you could use your draft picks on other things. But that's why this week is very important. We really want to see some smart moves out of Muji, stockpiling some picks, but maybe adding some people into the mix that makes sense also. PC says, yeah, he could try to fleece teams, but I mean, fleecing, it's hard to fleece anybody. It's really. But I will say, in terms of fleecing, I saw some reporting that makes me optimistic because there are several areas where they said the desire for players was great and the supply, so the demand was great and the supply was short. That's good though. If that's true, those are good conditions for the Jets to make some nice trades because we have the supply in certain areas. There isn't much of a supply in the running back area, they were saying, and the edge rusher area. We got people. You want Michael Clemens? I mean, Michael Clemens is amazing. He's incredible. He walks around with no shirt on and a baseball bat. This guy's incredible. We should get at least a second round pick for Michael Clemens. But just kidding. But if that's actually true, if that reporting is true, that the demand is great and the supply is short, and you're one of the teams with some supply, that should lead to maybe some reaches. I mean, for example, in this draft, we have a first round pick, a second round pick, no third round pick, and 2 fourth round picks, and no fifth round pick, and I think either 2 or 3 sixth round picks, and then a bunch of seventh round picks. We need to pick up a third rounder somewhere, somehow, and a fifth rounder. I mean, this roster has a lot of needs, a lot of holes, and a lot of needs. So I'd say it's a big week. I mean, it's almost like let's get this game over with. It's just, we're the worst. Ha ha. Yeah, yeah. Whatever. Let's get this over with and let's start the trading because we'll know a lot more about this team after that. And besides, we can't really even do a mock draft until we know how many picks we have. And then there's going to be comp picks as well. We should get some comp picks, maybe one, two. But it's sort of like let's get this over with. Let's get the trades done, whatever they may be, and hopefully we are able to strike some deals that make sense. And then we could at least do some mock drafts. It's November mock draft season. Joe Mike is bringing up the reporting by Dick Chimney. Joe Mike. Yeah, but the dead cap isn't a problem. It's high, but it's not a problem. And you can always remember, you can always create more cap space. So let's not just take the reporting of Dick Chimney, Joe, and just start crying about it. Remember, the whole purpose of Dick Chimney is to make you cry, Joe. So I guess he won this morning. You just went right to the Dick Chimney article and you got all in your feelings. First of all, you can always create more cap space, so it's not set in stone. And then second, even if the other thing is I don't think we're cutting Justin Fields. Why would we cut him? Just keep him as a backup. So let's not let Dick Chimney control our emotions on this fine Sunday morning, shall we? Shall we? Flatbush Dre is here. 50 years of misery. Yeah, get ready for 15 more at least, buddy. Let's build the draft. Let's get a win. Yeah, let's do lots of things, Dre. All at once. Would be impressed if Mooj could get something for our deadwood. Well, some things are deadwood, like Michael Clemens, but there are players that teams want, Phil. So teams want Brees. Teams want Jermaine Johnson. He's not going anywhere. Teams want Will McDonald. Teams are going to want Quincy Williams. So we do have some valuable pieces we can move. I mean, we can't move, Lazard or probably or Clemens. If we can get anything for Clemens or Lazard or, well, now Josh Reynolds is on IR, so you're not getting anything for him. Any of these 1-year deal wonders. I'll tell you an under the radar move we can make. I thought of this morning in the shower. Yeah, I'm taking a shower. I'm thinking about the Jets. That's my life. But what if we sign Byron Cowher to a nice little 1-year deal? Guy was injured this year. We liked him in training camp. Wouldn't cost you much because what value does he have? But we like him as long as the medical checks out and it's nothing too serious. There's a guy you could get for $2 million. Give him some incentives. He'd probably sign that deal and bring him back. And that helps plug the back end of the roster. You know what I mean? Joe Buda, the last fleece was the Adams trade. Yeah, that was a good trade. But as I keep saying, Seattle liked that trade, and Seattle was going for it, and he just underperformed. But we did get a lot of good draft capital out of it, so that was good for us. Joe Mike, we overdrafted Arian Smith, but we don't even use him correctly. He was supposed to be our deep threat decoy. Well, one of the problems with deep threat decoys, there's a lot of problems with what happened this year, if you remember, Joe, because I put out a lot of videos saying, well, we're obviously going to run an RPO offense. Well, we're not really. So as far as deep threats, our deep game can't be developed really because the players aren't playing good enough for it to happen. So in other words, the quarterback isn't playing at a high enough level to hit even short game and middle range game. And the offensive line has been disappointing. If you're going to hit some deep passes or even try some deep throws, you need to protect for more than 2.5, 3 seconds. And sometimes we have, but other times we haven't. Olu's been disappointing, for example. And the middle of the line is also disappointing. Another reason we need to stockpile picks also, right now we have no middle of the line. John Simpson's a free agent. Josh Myers is a free agent, and AVT is a free agent and injured. So we have nobody in the middle of the line right now. But in other words, in order to have deep threats, you need to give the quarterback time because those routes take a long time to develop. So I don't know about Arian Smith. He's been playing. He hasn't done much, but he hasn't done much wrong either. We don't throw him the ball much. Like you're saying, we don't get to throw him a deep one. I think we threw like one deep ball all year, and it was like a poorly thrown 50-50 ball. So, but let's hope we can get to see something out of him. He was overdrafted, but let's see if he could do something. PC Salami, I think WMD could have some serious value. Yeah, and that's a guy I think that's worth thinking about, depending what that value is, because he's obviously still limited. As I told you guys, he's half a player. He can do one thing and one thing well, and he does bring some special teams value. He'll block a kick every now and then, but the skill he does have is something that teams really want and need, especially competing teams. So, what is somebody willing to give us for him? Can we get a second round pick for him? That'd be something that you'd have to really consider, because we don't have a third round pick. But if we had 2 seconds, that'd be fantastic. Well, like I said, we got a lot of holes to fill. We don't even have a middle of the line. We got nobody. And our developmental guy, we got rid of him. We got rid of Asa Pole, who was supposed to be developmental for us. We couldn't keep him stashed on the 53 man. The Chiefs got him back and put him on their 53 man, of course, or maybe he went to their P squad. But if you're him, do you want to go to the Chiefs P squad and be coached by Andy Reid, or go to our P squad and be coached by Steve Hayden? Yeah. Phil says, let's get pragmatic. Play the kids, cut the dead wood, evaluate the hell out of everybody. Well, we started the process. I mean, Brownlee, that was another good addition, right? So he's playing. Like, can we get something for Michael Carter? Like, there's a contract you'd love to trade. He does have some value. People need slot corners. I mean, even if they're not great, and he used to be great, and he just hasn't been playing well lately. But, can we get something for Michael Carter? But anyway, we've started this. Brownlee's playing, Malachi Moore's playing. Arian Smith has been playing. We haven't been throwing him the ball, but he's been playing. So I don't know. What other kids do we have? Kiko's been playing. Tyler Barron doesn't need to play because he's not good and he shouldn't be in the NFL. But um, what other kids do we have? We got rid of LT3 some reason. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get rid of him. I think Woody just says some of the dumbest things ever. It doesn't do himself any favors with these comments he makes. But yeah, there's no reason. He's a backup. He's here. We're paying him. It doesn't make much financial sense to get rid of him. And anyway, I think what we should do is what the Giants did. Let's do the Dart plan, the Jackson Dart plan. You get two veterans, and Fields can be one. And I would go get Marcus Mariota or somebody like that, and then you draft in the first round your quarterback, and then whichever one it turns out to be, Simpson, Mendoza, etc. So then you let that rookie determine when he plays. You set some milestones, you figure out a plan for him, and you say if he hits these milestones, then he's on pace. And it could be game 1, could be game 5, could be game whatever. And if you notice, what was coming out of Giants camp was, man, this Jackson Dart kid hits every single milestone. They were just thrilled with what he was doing. Whatever their plan was, he was just killing it, killing it, killing it. And that determined that after a few games with the old Russ Wilson, they said, nope, now it's time for old J Dart. And they still have training wheels on him, which is the right thing to do. We should not do the Zach Wilson, here's a 1,000-page playbook, master it by tomorrow, the kind of thing we did. No, you put training wheels on the kid, whoever it may be. And if he outgrows the training wheels, fine, then, ramp it up. But start out with some training wheels. Make it easy for the person. God's sakes. There's a 1,000-page playbook, kid. Figure it out by Tuesday. What the hell? This is so stupid. PC says Tyrod will be on. Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, PC. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Now, as for as for news around the league, now the Jets also claimed linebacker Kobe King. So this was another good move by Muji. So I would say basically all the moves that Muji has made since he got his staff in place have been excellent. Kobe King is a linebacker who was selected in the sixth round last year, 2025. And if you remember, we didn't have a 6th-round pick because we made all these trades to get people that we shouldn't have done that for. But anyways, we wound up not having a 6th-round pick. So probably the Jets said, well, Kobe King is who we would have taken in the 6th round anyway. So the Vikings let him go. We claimed him. We got him. So let's keep our eye on Kobe King, for example. Kobe King is on the 53 man. He's going to be mostly on special teams to start out. I'm trying to determine what number he is. Thought I retweeted that. Hang on. If you follow me on X, you get all sorts of extra information. Yeah, Kobe King right here is 45. Number 45, Kobe King. He's out of Penn State. Dane Brugler had him as the 8th best linebacker in the draft last year, had him as a 4th-round pick as his value, and he went in the 6th. So let's look at number 45. Does he make any impact plays on special teams? Does he look like a guy who now he's a thumper type? He's a thumper type of guy. So he's not going to be fast like Quincy and Jamian, but he's a thumper, and just like Kiko. So maybe he could be a backup Kiko. If we got a linebacker 4, let's say we sign Quincy. Let's say we decide to give Quincy a 2 or 3-year deal. We extend him and we say we want Sherwood and Quincy here as our primary linebackers. Kiko's going to be our thumper, our base thumper. Okay. That's called a plug linebacker usually. Okay. And then our backup plug is this Kobe King fella. Well, that would be an awesome pickup on the waiver wire. It's free money. We didn't, it's absolutely Didn't cost us anything. And to get your linebacker 4 off the waiver wire that you wanted to pick in the 6th round anyway, but you couldn't because you had no draft picks because you traded them to overdraft people who we shouldn't have done that for. But nonetheless, that's good. That would be a good sign. And so, some of these moves that they've made have been pretty smart after they got all their staff in place. It was a little rough for the draft there, but Joe, you're being a little too emotional, Joe. Don't worry about things. Why are you worried about all this, Joe? Biggest fear is that we'll beat Miami. As long as we give them a better, we did this one, then they have May. Yeah. Joe, don't worry about it. And second of all, Miami, do you understand how big the cap hit is if they cut Tua? It's $100 million. You think we got cap problems, Joe? Just for Tua, his dead cap is $100 million next year. Now they could keep him as a backup, but I mean, first of all, we don't know what Miami's doing. They're saying they're supporting the coach, and Chris Greer has a million lives. He never gets fired, even though he keeps building terrible teams. So we don't know what's going on with Miami. But if they did, all right. I mean, what are you worried about? One of the worst things I keep telling you guys is to have your focus on one dude in the draft. Like before, you were talking about Mendoza, Joe. I love Mendoza, but you got to have your mind on a bucket of guys. There should be a category of guys you're happy with, whether it's Mendoza, Simpson, Moore. Now, and you need to have alternate plans. Like, I wonder if a guy like Josh Hoover came out. That's probably not a first round pick, but could you get him in the second well, we don't have a third round pick, second or third round pick if we pick one up. And then could he be almost as good? And then in the first round, you get Reuben Bain. I mean, what if we get Reuben Bain, Joe? There's a dominant edge player. So you got to have different scenarios in your brain instead of just being focused on one guy because you're going to get disappointed. But here's the thing to keep in mind also, Joe. The Patriots have Drake May. The Bills have Josh Allen. We're not winning anything anytime soon, Joe. I got bad news for you. Drake May is elite. Josh Allen is elite. And they're going to eventually figure out their defensive problems, both of those teams. And when are we going to win? When? 2040. So, don't worry. It's not. Well, looks like we did a lot of moves to beef up special teams. Yeah. That's a silver lining. I mean, whether it's PFF or DVOA, everybody loves our special teams. So, Joe says, I think Quincy will get traded to San Francisco. Well, if he wants to overpay, he can overpay. And in that case, then we need a linebacker in the draft. Yeah, please do hit the like button. As an apology, I tried to get this thing started on OBS this morning and it was giving me all kinds of problems. So now I got to figure out how to do OBS for live streams. I thought I had it figured out, and then I had to revert back to StreamYard. And then StreamYard gave me an error message, and then I had to sort that out. Hi, Karate. FSPM. That's good to see Karate. We're going to be doing some quarterback charting Karate tomorrow. Tomorrow's an interesting game. It's the Chiefs and the Commanders, and the Commanders have Mariota starting. So that's a guy I think we should look at. So I want to start charting some of his games and see how he, that's the true test is the old Frankie charting as to whether you're good at throwing the football or not. So let's take a look, and that would be like one of the two veterans we could get along with the rookie, of course. But we're going to do that for the Monday night game, Karate. But I will not be on the live stream with Green Bean today. So for those who do the watch-alongs with Green Bean, I will not be on that one. We got a lot of stuff going on here at FSPN headquarters, so not going to be live for that. But we will come live on Monday night, and do some quarterback charting and watch the Chiefs and Commanders. Mahomes against Mariota. Alan Doge is here. Good to see the Dodester. Alan Doge is a member of the Inner Circle, and all of the work, a lot of the work in spreadsheets and information and scouting that I do go into the spreadsheets. And Joe, Joe, you're like right on the edge, dude. Step back from the edge, Joe. Step back from the edge. You're too worried about everything. Just fucking relax. I think Joe Mike gets like all of the talking points from around Jets. What are we going to call it? Like Jets Nervisia. Jets Worryland. Oh, that's good. Jets Worryland. Like whether it's Dick Chimney or Connor Hughes or whoever's starting the Jets worry meter. And then Joe just like goes around and collects up all the worry points and then spits them out into people's content chat. Jeez. I would draft two quarterbacks, James says. Yeah. Green wants a 6'5" receiver. Well, there's not a lot of those guys, Big Green. I'll tell you who is a 6'5" receiver is Nick Harbor. That's an interesting dude on South Carolina. A track dude who looks like he's a monster. He runs track, but he's not like one of these little thin track guys. He's thick and he's fast. Is he a good receiver? Well, that remains to be seen. So, yeah, there's one 6'5" receiver, but I don't know how many 6'5" receivers are in the draft, Big Green. So, Ted McMillans don't just grow on trees, my friend. Karate said, got it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do all the Monday nights and Thursday nights, but if there's a matchup that looks good, um, you know, then I think we should do it. And also, I'll have to try to do that with OBS and try to get that to work because OBS is supposed to be able to allow you to live stream. And part of the problem is that I have all those overlays on there for the videos and that's working good, but it seems like those were causing me some problems or I got to figure out what the problem is. Yeah. So anyway, so I got some research to do, but then we could use those Monday night, Thursday nights as tests. You know, we could test it out and figure out, okay, what the hell's going on here? Certain functionality you want, you got to have plugins. So there's pluses and minuses for using free software. First of all, it's free, but then it has good base software. But if you want advanced functionality, then you got to use these plugins, and the plugins could cause you problems, or you might not have your settings correct and all this stuff. So we'll see. So some in the media are attacking Aaron Glenn now, like Antoine Staley. When you lose, they feel like, and when you're antagonistic with the media and then you lose, it's not good because then they feel like, okay, it's time to attack. So, if you attack the media, they're going to attack back. Just the way it is. Checking for some news. Doesn't seem to be much news here. People are reporting on things Rex Ryan is saying. I mean, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Joe says, this is my therapy session. Well, you might want to do some therapy on yourself by worrying less. Any plans for a deadline day live stream as a test? No, we got to do it before then, Phil. Like, I probably need to get this thing fixed today or tomorrow and then test it out on Monday Night Football tomorrow. And hopefully tomorrow I do a live stream from, I can do a live stream from OBS, and then we get all the things we get. I think I know what the problem is, but we'll see. But probably not a deadline day live stream. It's that would be weird because you don't know if we're going to make any trades. You don't know when the trades are going to happen. The trades could happen before deadline day. It could happen this week. Like a good day for trades would be Monday or Tuesday as the other teams prepare for their week. It probably won't happen Wednesday through Sunday because once the teams get into their work week, which is Wednesday, they're going to want any players that they acquire, they would want them by then so they could start ramping them up. So, more likely than not, any trades that happen will be Monday or Tuesday this week or the Monday or Tuesday, that last day of next week. And, but, if you go live and nothing happens, what do we do? What do we do then, Phil? It's like you go live and then, you know, sitting around waiting for trades. Who knows, Doge? I mean, how do we know? I really don't think they want, as far as I can tell, I don't think they want to play him unless they have to, unless Fields gets hurt. But then again, I don't know. How do I know? There's been no reporting on it. So the reporting that's happening now is the reporters in the press box doing their weekly picture from the press box of the field to show you they are important and you are not. So, in case you didn't know, if you ever wondered why do all the beat reporters report out, tweet out the same content when they get to the press box? So they're in the press box now. It's about a quarter. It's 15 minutes to 11, and they all tweet out a picture from the press box of the field, looking down on the field, saying, "I am now in the press box," or something like that. And you might wonder why. Why do they do that? Well, it's to make you feel small and to let you know they are the authority. They are at the game. They are important, and you are not. Well, Joe, if you were a member of this channel, which you're not, you would know how I rank them. I would say check out Dane Brugler or Corey Keenan. Those guys are good. Or you could become a member of this channel and you can see how I'm grading the quarterbacks. But I've already told you who's in the top bucket. It's Simpson, Mendoza, Moore, pretty much in the top. So there's nothing really being reported. Players are arriving. The people from the press are arriving. So there you go. PC Fields has gotten his bell rung. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I really doubt they want to put Brady Cook in this situation. The line hasn't been great. Johnny Boy WW. Yeah, we're going to need at least two wide receivers. We need edge. We need defensive tackle. We need safety. Um, and also we need guard, center guard. I mean, but it's also hard to know because free agency comes before the draft. So we'll obviously sign some guys, but right now we don't have a guard, center, or we don't have two guards or center on the team right now. So we need interior offensive line, we need edge, we need wide receiver, we need tons of stuff. which is why I keep saying this week is important. If we could trade off some people in order to get picks, that would be good because we're going to need those picks to fill a lot of holes on the roster. Now, I'd probably re-sign Josh Myers as a just as a just to have somebody just in case. Um, but we're gonna have to start looking at interior offensive linemen on the free agent market because those guys you can get. Those guys you can get. Yeah, Simpson could stay in. The only problem with Ty Simpson is he doesn't have a ton of starting experience, but um, it'll depend on how he finishes out the year and what the advisory board tells him. If the advisory panel tells him he's a top 5 pick, he's probably going to come out. I mean, he could go back, but he's very polished. Yeah. Well, maybe someday we'll be up by 50 points, Phil. Amanon is here. Good to see you, buddy. Dodester. I don't think they want to put Cook in. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the concerns when you have a running quarterback. These guys, I mean, Justin Fields has been taking horrible hits his whole career, uh, even in Chicago. If you watched him play in Chicago, he would get absolutely murdered, and they would never call a penalty either. So that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. Joe the Jet G. Imagine Brady Cook plays the second half and goes full Michael White. Well, I would say it's unlikely. Mike White at least was an experienced guy at that point in time. He had had some years in the league. Cook is a UDFA rookie, so could it happen? I guess anything's possible in this crazy game. Anything's possible. But I kind of want Brady Cook to get through the year sort of unscathed and come back next year and see what he looks like. You know what I mean? I don't want him to start like getting cremated out there. Simpson's dad is a college coach. Yep, he's a college head coach. Yes, this is a SUNY New Paltz Hawk hat, of course. Who in here is a SUNY New Paltz baseball legend? Bet you didn't know that. There's lots of things about me you folks don't know. If Field struggles, just put Cook in. Well, I disagree with that. No, I do not, Johnny boy. But I think they knew this was going to be a foundational year. What I think is thought, let's take a 10% shot on Fields, right? Maybe he figures it out. Maybe, we get the next great thing, the next big thing. But there's a 10% chance not. And then there's a 90% chance he struggles. And then we just evaluate everyone. We try to win. Nobody ever tries to lose. Nobody ever tries to tank. Very few teams, except maybe the Miami Dolphins with Stephen Ross. But that was about it. Um, and so no, I don't think so. I think they're trying, but they knew that if Fields didn't improve, likely it was going to be a lot of losses, and they're probably not terribly concerned with that, knowing this was a foundational year. You see what I'm saying? They don't try to lose, but at the same time, they're like, well, hey, they got somebody to blame for one. And number two, uh, they just say, well, this is a foundational year. Anyway, it's a bridge quarterback. We hired him as a bridge. So this is what bridges do. They fall down like London bridges. And, you know, but nobody tries to lose. I don't think. I mean, the way you could try to lose is like guys who are injured, but they're not that injured, but you keep them out of the game. You know what I mean? Like that's the only time. Well, and then you have the whole NBA situation, but that's a whole other deal. Dode's got his bachelor's degree. All right, Dodester. Well, then you and I got something in common. This is a good question, PC Salami, and I think everybody in this chat needs to ask themselves the question: why people, especially from the Badlands community kept saying that Tippmann was a better guard than center, and I kept saying, "No, he's not." What makes you say that? And they kept saying it over and over. Good, I think Tippmann's a better guard than center. Why? Anybody who told you that lied to you. And then Tippmann. Oh yeah, so I'm forgetting Tippmann, aren't I? You're right. I forgot Tippmann. So good. So move Tippmann back to center. Now we just need two guards, right? I forgot about Joe Tippmann. Good golly. Well, yeah. So I think he is better at center. As I said all along, he was the eighth best center in football last year. And then, AVT got injured, so we had to move him. But yeah, he's not better at guard than center. He's a center. Put him at center. I forgot about that. Dodes played rugby. I knew we had a rugby team, so New Paltz does not have a football team, or didn't back in the day anyway. But I did not know about the fencing, Dodester. A lot of the guys played rugby who would be playing football played rugby at New Paltz, and I don't think that was an official sport of the school. I think it was more like a social club or something. And fencing, I didn't know anything about fencing. But I played, the American sport of baseball, Dodes. Like a red-blooded American. It's like that Springsteen song, man. Could throw that speedball by you, make you look like a fool, boy. Johnny Boy says, "Thank you, sir. Appreciate the content. Keep up the good work." All right. We need some Frankie stats from New Platts. Now, actually, there actually are some. I was gonna get a see like this one thing back here, this thing. I was gonna this is from the Army. They gave it to me when I was leaving because I was such a great soldier. But I was gonna have one of those things made of all the newspaper articles that I'm in. We had all those newspaper articles, and then whenever I was in one, I would cut it out of the newspaper, like back in the day. Remember that when there was newspapers? Uh, so I have all these like newspaper clippings, and I was gonna have them put into like a frame, and I still might do it, and then I'll hang it on the wall, and you all can see all the newspaper clippings or old Frankie's in there. You know, Dodester says he was a wing. I don't even know what that means. Mark Sacchetti, good morning. It was a club, but we did play against West Point. That sucked. Yeah. If you're going to play against West Point, what the hell were you doing playing West Point? That didn't make any sense. Then again, the people who play rugby tend to be a little cuckoo. So, Joe Mike. Yeah. So AVT is an interesting one. There was some reporting that teams are actually calling to trade for AVT because they want to do just this thing, trade for him and then sign him to a deal. I mean, if he would come back and depending on the team friendly deal, I would do it too. But then you got to draft someone anyway. You can't rely on AVT. You would draft a rookie and see what happens, kind of thing. But we're going to need two guards. I mean, so even if you signed AVT, still got to draft two guards. Can't rely on AVT. You hope. And if he outplays the rookie sits on the bench, no problem. But yeah. But who knows what he wants to do? He might want to go back to California. He's a California kid. The thing about AVT, he married his high school sweetheart. So he's from California. So he went to high school and college out there. And he married his high school sweetheart, which, by the way, is a good strategy for men, by the way, especially if you're going to be a man making a lot of money. Marry your high school sweetheart. And so now they've started to have kids. They have these adorable little children. And so you wonder if they want to stay in New Jersey or they want to go home and maybe be around the parents, the grandparents. I mean, the Chargers would probably want to sign him, right? Any of the California teams, the 49ers. Dodes, I've always had good body control and reflexes from fencing in high school, too. It helped for rugby, too. Fencing is not something I know anything about, Dodes. There's a lot. Actually, there's a lot of things in life that I know zippo about. Absolutely nothing. Fencing being one of them. Oh. Way I've approached life is like the things I get into, I get way into them, and but 98% of things out there, I have zero interest in. Excuse me. Karate says nobody wants to play for us. Yes, they do karate. You just have to give them enough money. You like the money? Oh, yes, we like the money. You just got to give them a little extra. We got to pay the Jets tax, karate. That's just the way it is. But you don't want to make it exorbitant. You don't want to give out crazy contracts like not Ladainian Tomlinson, Lakin Tomlinson. That was a crazy contract. Or even C.J. Mosley, as good as he was, and how we need another C.J. Mosley here, but his contract was terrible. So you don't want to do that. But some of these guys, like an offensive lineman, a guard, if we're going to sign one, if you're going to give them 2 or 3 million more than anybody else guaranteed, they got to take it. They don't have long careers, these guys. So a guy like that who doesn't have a ton of choice, they'll come here. Like the money. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding, dudes. Why isn't anybody talking about the fact that teams that are home teams in, well, whatever state you're in, whatever the state income tax for that state is, why doesn't your cap go up by that percentage? So in other words, if you're a team in New Jersey, all your players are going to have to be in New Jersey. Why doesn't your cap go up by the New Jersey state tax? Because that gives Miami and Jacksonville and Dallas and Houston and Tampa, all those teams, and any other team, and I think Tennessee, all the teams that play in places that don't have any state income tax, gives them a huge advantage, because even these small percentages is a lot of money to people making millions and millions of dollars, right? So it's unfair. How is that fair? Just because we put our team in New Jersey, which was stupid. Okay. But our other choice was New York, which is going to be the same thing pretty much. Well, why should our athletes have to have more of their money stolen? And meanwhile, the people in Miami who is in our division, which is ridiculous also. Miami should not be in our division. Uh, why is that fair? I mean, we have to compete for these players. It's competition. It's an open market within a closed market, if you think about it. Uh, but it's a market for labor, and some teams get to go, hey, we have beautiful weather, and we have South Beach, and look at these women. They're incredibly beautiful, and we have no state tax, and we have beautiful green grass. And we go, we got, you know, we got Dirty Scratch Sally over here, and we got terrible weather, and you can't even pump your own gas. That's illegal. They'll arrest you on the spot if you try to pay your own freaking gas and pump your own gas. And on top of that, they steal your money at the state level for no reason. I mean, what do you get out of it? You don't even get a good school system. You know. I got so many ideas, Dodes. The off season is going to be fun because I'm going to be doing so many videos that are so different than anybody else in the Jet content community. Like I don't do that already, but we're going to have so many unique videos coming out. Hopefully people will watch them, but that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Tampa Jets fan, no income tax. He loves that. Yeah. No state income tax. That's the way it should be. I mean, think about how much money you would spend more. How much more money you would spend is the way to say that. How much more money you would spend if that money were in your pocket. And then that money gets spread out to all those businesses that you're buying the stuff from, and then all the businesses they buy stuff from, and so forth and so on. It's a much better way to spread money around. Why is our money stolen? Yeah, exactly. I don't know, because you elect the wrong politicians, Big Green. We need low and no tax politicians. I'll tell you what they're doing down here in Florida. Ron DeSantis You may like him, you may hate him. That doesn't matter to me. One thing he's saying that's music to my ears is they want to get rid of the property tax for homesteaders only. Well, that's great. That encourages home buying. You know what I'm saying? So you need to find politicians who are going to take on these tax issues because it's not really fair for these counties and municipalities to be raking in the dough off of your property. Like, why do they get to tax your house? Tax it at the time you buy it. Okay, fine. And then that's it. But every year they get to take a tax. Why? It's your house. Why do they get to tax your house? It's your property. It's not their property. So, and they get and this is just for homesteads. So businesses pay taxes. There's sales tax. There's lots of taxes to go around for municipal services. We need the roads. We need we need the fire people. We need the police. We need, obviously. There's plenty of money to go around. So, that's why people elect the wrong people, Big Green. We need to free up the economy to make it flow better, I think. NFL should pay all players via a central fund that can't be state taxed. Huh. Now, this is an interesting point, Phil. The great Phil Adams, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, Phil Adams, for those of you who don't know, it has this, you can't see it behind this Frankie from Flatbush thing over here, but you can see right here, this hat. See this hat over here? This is a plant. This is a hat. Well, guess who sent me this hat? The great Phil Adams. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes Phil Adams will send you a hat. That's what a great guy is. But this is a great point by Phil. The NFLPA is searching for all of this stuff. It comes down to the union. There's a union management fight every time the CBA comes up. The union has to fight for all this stuff. I've often said, now the union is searching for its new executive director. We'll see who that is. And hopefully he's not a bum who likes to go to strip clubs and whatnot. But the, once they get a guy in place, then they need to start negotiating. Like if I was at the head of the NFLPA, I would start the negotiations like the NFLPA demands 2% equity in every team, all 32 teams. NFLPA gets 2% equity. Just come in and put your balls on the fucking table and you say, listen, Goodell, motherfucker, this is what we doing, right? You don't let these motherfuckers get away with jack shit. You start with a crazy ass proposal. We want 2% equity. Oh, this group gets to buy equity, that group. What about the NFLPA? They need equity in this shit. That's what we need. See? Big Green says, I just heard that. Yeah. Tampa Jets fan, why pay taxes on something you own? Right. I already own it. It's mine. And you're going to charge me taxes. And by the way, the taxes on the properties usually go up every year. How are you going to do budgeting, do your budget, figure out your budget for the year? You don't know what they're going to just jack up your taxes by $1,000 or some crazy thing. I mean, there's too many people who can't afford to buy houses. And on top of everything else that's involved in owning a house, maintenance and, what do you do when the toilet breaks? And what do you do when there's, foxes in your attic? I don't know. But then on top of all that, you got to worry about your taxes going up every year and you just write a check to the municipality for something you own. This is my house. I bought it, paid a lot of money for it. And then you're going to charge me every year to live in it? That's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. And the mortgage is separate. So you're paying the mortgage, unless you're some big spender and you have tons of money and you buy it outright. But otherwise, you get a mortgage. You got to pay that every month. And then on top of that, every year, you got to pay the municipality some amount of money. I mean, it's crazy. Green Bean's here. Good to see Green Bean. I'm going to miss this hat wearing fool today. Yeah, he's talking about I won't be able to go over to the live stream, the watch along, unfortunately. Got some stuff to do this afternoon, but I'm sure it'll still be a great show. So I would encourage everyone to head over to the Green Bean channel and watch the watch along with Green Bean and Jeremy and various special guests. BBA 731, tell NYC voters. Yeah. Yeah, I would tell anybody in New York City, get the hell out if you can. I mean, who's going to want to live in that socialist nightmare? I mean, it's one thing to lean left and all this, but I mean, a straight out communist from Uganda or wherever he's from. Yeah, I would say New York City's probably over. I mean, the interesting thing to me about all that, there is a new Texas stock exchange. You wonder if the New York Stock Exchange ever could go down. I don't know what that would take or what that would mean. I guess companies would just need to list their company in the Texas one instead of New York. But if it ever happened that tons and tons of companies were like, screw this, we're just going to list our thing in the Texas Stock Exchange or whatever. How much would New York City fall apart then? Because think about uh, how many residual businesses, associated businesses are tied into the New York Stock Exchange. It's always been there for 100 years, however long it's been there. All the companies around it, all the lawyers, all the investment people, all this. You wonder. Uh, it could be a big change in the country if you think about it. Yeah. Well, sometimes, you know, sometimes free bus rides. That's another story for another day. Yeah, free, but quote unquote free. Remember, it always starts out good, and then you run out of other people's money, as Margaret Thatcher once said. Jet 41. The worst part is the seniors that own the house and have to move. Yeah, that happens all the time. Jet 41. That's another problem. You're in there, you're a senior citizen, you paid off your house, you're like, okay, I finally paid off my mortgage, I'm retired, it's all good, we're gonna relax, we're gonna just enjoy life, and then the taxes keep going up, and you're like, I can't, what? I can't afford to live in my own house that I paid off. And then they got to sell the house and move into something smaller or whatever. Yeah, so it's bad. New York City would go broke in a week if people took things off the stock market. That's the interesting thing to watch to me, because there's a lot of like alternate things going on in finance, whether it's crypto, whether it's decentralized finance, quicker transactions. You wonder how many of these people. You wonder what the Texas stock market has to offer as a new thing. Maybe it has something to offer. I don't even really know, but do they offer something as a magnet to attract these companies and say, okay, delist from the New York Stock Exchange, come to the Texas Stock Exchange, and we will whatever it is, whatever. I mean, there has to be a value prop, for them to get them to do it. So crazy. They even tax you on your car every year. Yeah. Yep. So all right, let's check for any news. Doesn't seem to be any news going on. So I guess we will check out of here. Thank you for joining. Again, I will not be over on the Green Bean channel. Let's just make sure there's nothing breaking. No, does not appear to be. All right, so I won't be over on Green Bean channel, but I do recommend you head over to the Green Bean channel during the game for the watch along. I'm sure it'll be great. And I will try to work on my OBS issues so I don't have to keep paying StreamYard. But we got to try to figure out what the hell happened this morning. So we'll be working on that technology. And with that being said, I'll see you next time.